Crown of Tempests and Arc 3.0 Warlocks never have to worry about rooms of ads ever again, thanks to this ad clearing monster build I'm going to go through today. So we're going to be surging electricity through our fingers and fry everything that gets in our way. Today I'm going to run through the build, check out the Arc 3.0 setup, including the aspects and the fragments, plus look at the supporting weapons, the armour and the mods, so you can act like Emperor Palpatine and clear rooms of ads in seconds. Well, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. And roughly 98% of viewers who watch This Week in Video Games aren't subscribed, so subscribe today and never miss an update. Well, let's dive right into the crucial information, and that is the build. First of all, I'm going to go for the Arc 3.0 setup. So for my super, I'm using Storm Trance, and my grenade, I'm using an Arc Bolt grenade. For my melee, I'm using Chain Lightning, and class ability, I'm using a Healing Rift. For my aspects, I'm using Arc Soul, so cast your Rift to create an Arc Soul that fires at targets in front of you, and allies can pass through your Rift and get an Arc Soul, and your Rift charges faster when your allies are near. While amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased rate of fire. Also, I'm using Electrostatic Mine, so defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace, and collecting an ionic trace makes you amplified. Well, next up, let's have a look at the fragments. I'm using Spark of Shock, your arc grenades jolt targets. Spark of Irons, defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. Spark of Discharge, arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. And Spark of Volts, finishers make you amplified. Well, next up, let's have a look at the exotic armour, and I'm using Crown of Tempests here for the Warlock. So it's an exotic Warlock helmet, and it comes with the perk Conduction Tines. So arc ability or jolt final blows increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. Well, to get Crown of Tempest, you can get this from exotic engrams as a random drop, or you can get it from Zur when he is around at the weekend. I do a Zur video every week, so keep it locked to the channel, subscribe and hit that notification bell to never miss a Zur update. Well, next up, let's have a look at the weapons. So in my kinetic slot, I'm using No Reprieve. That is a new shotgun. It's a legendary kinetic shotgun with a pinpoint slug frame, meaning it fires a single slug round, and the weapon's recoil pattern is much more predictably vertical. For PvE, Corkscrew Rifling, Assault Mag, Outlaw and Swashbuckler would be a decent role. You can get this from running the seasonal activity in Season of Plunder, like Catch Crash or Expeditions. Well, next up, in the energy slot, I'm using Risk Runner. This one is an exotic submachine gun. Comes with the perk Arc Conductor, so when taking arc damage, the weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage, and kills extend the time in this overcharged state. Then we've got the big one. It's Super Conductor, so when Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have the chance to become Chain Lightning and also return ammo too. Well, to get this one, you can get it from Zur or also the New Light Quest. And I do have a guide for that on the This Week in Video Games channel. Finally, in the power slot, I'm using Sail Spy Pitch Glass. It's a linear fusion rifle which deals arc damage as well. It's going to go great with the build. It's another seasonal weapon from Season of Plunder, but if you've got another arc power weapon you like using, then feel free to do so. You know, the important thing for this build and all Arc 3.0 builds is to use arc weapons where possible. Well, next up, let's have a look at the mods. So I'm using Elemental Ordnance, so defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental world that matches your subclass energy type. So this one is going to be a more grenade-focused build, whereas in the past, I've had a look at melee builds. This one is all about throwing grenades. Then I'm using Bountiful Wells, so elemental well mods that cause you to spawn elemental wells now stack, spawning additional wells for each additional copy of the mod you have equipped. Essentially, that is a long and fancy way of saying, for every copy of elemental ordnance that you have, and you use Bountiful Wells, then you're going to get an elemental well. So for example, if I have 2 elemental ordnance mods on, and I have Bountiful Wells equipped, and I kill someone with a grenade, I'm going to get 2 elemental wells. If I have 3 elemental ordnance and Bountiful Wells, and I kill an enemy with a grenade, I'm going to get 3 elemental wells. So it works like that. Also, I'm using Font of Might, so picking up an elemental well that matches the subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage, and that is going to power up my damage output overall. So here is the gameplay loop that I'm looking for this build. So we want to get amplified, chain lightning attacks with Risk Runner and also our grenades, generate ionic traces and use our abilities, increase our damage through Font of Might, build up our super energy and then unleash Storm Trance, and then basically fry everything in sight. Now this build is all about add clear with our super thanks to Arc 3.0 setup and also Crown of Tempest, and the Crown is going to help us extend the duration of our super called Storm Trance, meaning when we're going to get kills we're going to extend that super just a little bit, allowing us to roam the rooms and clear out all the small enemies, clearing a path for our fire team. So while we don't have our super up and active and we're frying enemies all over the place, this build is focused on electrifying our enemies through chain lightning attacks, our grenades and our abilities. So through our exotic weapon Risk Runner, it's going to allow us to chain lightning attacks on enemies when we're damaged through our weapons, meaning we can chain together attacks with Risk Runner and clear rooms without the need of our super. We're going to be recharging our abilities very fast through Conduction Tines via Crown of Tempest, but also through Ionic Traces that we're creating. So Spark of Irons helps us create Ionic Traces, plus finishes also make us amplified, and with Spark of Volts, that means we can move faster and charge up our Arc Souls. So given we are generating loads of Ionic Traces, we're also going to be having our abilities up quite a lot, meaning we can throw more grenades, use our charge melee and lay down healing rifts for our fire team. And at the time the healing rifts go down, Arc Souls are released, which are going to help us in attack. And given we are throwing grenades, through our Elemental Well mods we're going to be creating Arc Elemental Wells and powering up our damage output through Font of Might, meaning our overall damage increases. Well, let me know in the comments what you think of the build and share any improvements that you've got down there with the community. Well, that is it for this guide for this ad clearing monster build with Crown of Tempests. There's a Warlock Arc 3.0 build in Destiny 2. And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. Well, if you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.